Hi, I'm Lory.
And I'm Rita.
I'm an American.
And I'm Iraqi.
And we have something to say
about the war.
And sing about the war
in Iraq.
The title of this is One of Us. One of Us, U.S., United States. The Return of J.C. And I have a question. What if Jesus has returned?
What if God was one of us? Just a slump like one of us. Just a savior on the bus, tried to make his way home. What if Jesus has returned, and to the U.S. he sojourns? Just a savior on return, trying to bring Christians home.
Many, if not all, Christians in the United States await the return of Yeshua ben Yosef, known in the U.S. as Jesus Christ. But what if Jesus, Yeshua, returned just a few months ago? Maybe his first stop was present-day Palestine. On the way to the holy city of Jerusalem, he never made it past the separation wall, though he requested passage in Aramaic, and then Hebrew, and then Greek. After all, Israeli soldiers may have been suspicious of a Palestinian-looking man who claimed to be a Jewish rabbi. Then maybe just a few weeks ago, Jesus traveled to Iraq to stop the war and bring peace to that region. For a few days, there was a noticeable peace in Iraq. Halliburton, the company that the Vice President of the U.S., Richard Dick Cheney, used to control but still influences, well, Halliburton's profits plummeted, went right down. Vice President Richard Bruce Dick Cheney panicked and ordered the immediate arrest and detainment of this Jesus and any other peacemakers. Maybe Cheney ordered the dissemination of most wanted posters bearing a likeness of Yeshua ben Yosef, thereby causing the immediate arrest of hundreds of innocent Iraqi men. Then maybe, just maybe, Jesus, Yeshua, traveled directly to Baghdad a few days ago. But as he was raising his arms to say, "Peace, be still," several American soldiers drew their rifles. A calming and contagious peace prevents them from firing upon this man. These young soldiers, many of whom were Christians, recognized Yeshua's face, but not as that of Jesus Christ. After all, Yeshua, Jesus, looks nothing like the paintings by Da Vinci or other European artists. The American Christian soldiers recognized this man's face from the Dick Cheney authorized most wanted posters that read, "Wanted, a man about 5'7", bronze skin with olive overtones, dark brown curly hair, light brown eyes, about 140 to 160 pounds, dressed in an amazingly clean and unsoiled white garment." This man who calls himself Yeshua ben Yosef has been impersonating the Christian Messiah, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. He claims that he will bring peace to the world. This man was last seen giving a sermon in Baghdad that was very critical of the USA under the leadership of President George W. Bush. This man has compared the USA under this leadership to the Roman Empire during the reigns of Tiberius Caesar and Pontius Pilate. Apprehend with caution, as this man has the ability to elude arrest. 2 months ago, somehow he escaped a holding cell on a U.S. Navy aircraft through a window, a portal, that led to the open sea. So far, there's been no evidence that this man has weapons or bombs or other explosives in his possession, but the Bush administration considers him armed and dangerous anyway.
What if Jesus has returned, and to the U.S. he sojourns, just a Savior on return, trying to bring Christians home.
So maybe Jesus, Yeshua, was in Baghdad just a few days ago. Surrounded on all sides, Yeshua could, but does not escape the American military. He desires to go to the U.S. to spread his messages of peace and compassion. Yeshua offers no resistance while he is illegally handcuffed and taken to a holding cell to await extradition to Guantanamo Bay. Not once does he fight back. Not once is he violent. Actually, a calming and soothing peace comes over all in his presence. The same soldiers who had drawn their rifles on Jesus, Yeshua, many of them ethnic minorities who are Native American, Latino, Black, Italian, Irish, Polish, Asian, and Middle Eastern Americans, laid down their weapons. A young Asian American soldier borrows the words of an African American spiritual and exclaims, "We ain't gonna study war no more." A commanding officer phones the White House and complains, "President Bush, we have a problem. My soldiers are refusing to fire their weapons." CIA and military officers are now convinced that Jesus, Yeshua, is armed with some sort of anesthesia, some sort of chemical weapon that causes mass nirvana and collective visions of paradise. So now, in addition to being treated as an insurgent and a terrorist, Jesus is accused of being a drug dealer. CIA officers beat and torture him. A thorough and otherwise humiliating body cavity search reveals no weapons. Jesus is not humiliated, not angered, not resentful. But instead he looks towards the heavens and states in Aramaic, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Aramaic is his mother tongue. But his captors don't understand the word. They become even more suspicious. One of the officers exclaimed, "Speak English, you goddamn terrorist!"
What if Jesus has returned, and to the U.S. he sojourns, just a Savior on return, trying to bring Christians home.
If Jesus, Yeshua ben Yosef, actually returns during the 21st century, Westernized Christians looking for a Europeanized Christ with blonde or light brown hair would likely mistake him for a terrorist. We don't know what Jesus exactly looks like, but he would probably resemble a Middle Eastern man in general, and a Palestinian in particular. As far as we know, Jesus, Yeshua ben Yosef, has not returned, but faces resembling the face of Jesus have made frequent appearances. Many Iraqis and other Middle Eastern men, women, and children who have been murdered, seriously injured, or illegally imprisoned at Abu Ghraib, Guantanamo Bay, and undisclosed locations controlled by the CIA under the presidency of George W. Bush. Well, these men, women, and children look more like Jesus, or Yeshua ben Yosef, than the paintings of Jesus by European artists. If American Christians, as well as George W. Bush, Richard Dick Cheney, and Condoleezza Rice fail to see the face of God in those who look the most like Jesus Christ, what would happen if Yeshua ben Yosef, Jesus, were to return?
What if Jesus Guantanamo appeared as he looked 2,000 years ago, abused and tortured in Guantanamo, trying to save the U.S. soul?
I got another question. What if Yeshua, Jesus, is in Guantanamo Bay, beaten and tortured as he was during the biblical days, put to death, by the CIA as George Bush destroys Muslim souls.